there's just so much of it. It's how do you actually cut through in a very, very competitive sector? How do you have a very clear positioning and proposition that is genuinely appealing to the consumer and the target audience? And most importantly, making sure you execute it in a way that's actually going to change behaviour, so that you're not wasting money essentially just doing some what might be perceived as great work but not actually going to change people's behaviour and gain sales. I think probably one of the ones that always impressed me the most would be Sunrise. It's quite an old one now, and I don't know if you remember with the changing sort of shapes of rice. What I found really interesting with that at the time, it was highly successful, I think it's back early 90s, was that it took an incredibly basic product and made it really interesting. It showed the product literally turning into the final dish, whether it be a seafood dish or a sort of quite elaborate sort of meal that turned into Indian sort of shapes of Indian palaces. It was very quirky and very creative and had a huge amount of cut through, but it also was very relevant to the product, and they were very effective at making sure they took it all the way through to their point of sale and their trade executions. I think one of the most important things that people often forget is the importance of making sure that the execution follows the strategy. You can have the best strategy and the best ideas in the world, but if you're not executing them in a way that really brings it to life properly, the whole thing can fall over. And I think one extra one would be making sure that you engage and communicate to the trade, because you don't want to have a campaign and you're spending money in media if when people actually get to the counter where they're purchasing the product, there's a complete lack of understanding of what the product is, why it's unique, and why you should